Wait. All right, now we have 30 seconds before we start. Good evening and welcome, fellow board members, Chancellor, administrators, faculty, and our amazing support staff here at Pima Community College to the regular Board of Governors meeting at 5:30 p.m. on this Wednesday, the 13th of April, 2022. I would like to call to order the Pima Community College monthly board meeting. Following the guidance of public health officials, the college continues to transition to more on-site activities and currently allows only restricted access during board meetings for essential personnel to promote social distancing and limit the spread of the coronavirus. Accordingly, the governing board will continue to allow public participation through remote technology. Therefore, although we are not back in total in-person meetings, I would like to use this transitional hybrid meeting to reinstate the Pledge of Allegiance at our regular board meetings, which was temporarily suspended while we were in a total Zoom environment. Therefore, I would now like to call on the Chancellor to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chancellor. Mr. Sylvan, may we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Just, I guess, one quick point of order. I know the meeting was scheduled for 5:30, but we actually didn't start till 5:54 because the prior session ran long. For the roll call, Dr. Hay.
Present.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Ms. Garcia.
Here.
Mr. Klenko.
Here.
Ms. Ripley.
Here.
All board members are present.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvan. And for the record and for minutes, the actual beginning time of this board meeting was 5:53. Apologies for coming in late. Thank you all for making, again, this monthly meeting happen with all the behind-the-scenes machinations involved in preparations of both in-person and Zoom participation. Shout outs to the IT staff, communications district office facilities, PCC TV personnel and security staff, and our amazing admins who wrangle it all together, Gabby and Andrea. We're still abiding by CDC guidance, as we have seen in recent national news, that the COVID virus continues with new spikes and outbreaks across the country. We're not out of the dark, and we do appreciate everyone's support and patience as we go into a hybrid mode of meeting. I'm especially thankful for your understanding of two of us board members who have elderly parents on 24/7 oxygen, creating a precarious situation, to say the least. So thank you for that. We are nearly at the finish line for our spring graduates, but the cycle continues into summer and fall. I look forward to attending the big graduation at Keno on May 18th, and also other separate graduations around the campuses, to include West Campus at campus on 12 May, where I will be celebrating and honoring our military vets getting their degrees after serving honorably for the nations. As turmoil across the world and even in our own state and neighborhoods continue, I applaud our students and faculty who have stayed the course and whose very existence as students and faculty are bringing us one step closer to a better world. It is the connection we have as humans that will make a difference, so I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And special thanks to the Political Science Department, who hosted a teach-in to share academic insights on the Ukraine conflict. Do not ever forget that in today's world, we are all connected. Turmoil and suffering around the world is felt by all of us. Bravo to Eric Safir and all the professors whose presentations gave us historic, geographic, political, economic, and humanitarian backgrounds. We have one more board meeting before, well, 2 more board meetings before our 2-month summer break. And so I want to stress the importance of our continued open dialogues regarding all that we need to hear from you all and share from the board. The AERC's purpose is to ensure shared governance is upheld and that all employees and students have a voice. Your role as an AERC rep is a big responsibility, as you must hold the voices of your members with the highest regard, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is hugely important for the board that we hear from you. Everything we do must have this one common end goal, serving our students and community as best as we can. And all of us can and will strive to do better. With so many moving parts, I again applaud everyone for their wisdom, contribution, support, and at times, sacrifice. Complaining is one thing, but coming to the floor with a sincere intent to improve the college and lives of our students and employees is what will truly make a difference. So I thank you all for your participation in the spirit of shared governance. And one thing I would like to say also for the record, on behalf of this board and myself as chair, any type of complaint, any type of violations that anyone sees at this campus, it doesn't matter who you are, will always be heard. And we have absolutely zero tolerance for anything that even appears to be discrimination, racist, homophobic, transphobic, or misogynist. I'm saying this out loud because it has to be said. So I thank you all of you who have been supporting this spirit. I would like now to continue with our first agenda item, public comment call to the audience. The Pima Community College Governing Board welcomes public comment on issues with the jurisdiction of the college. Generally, the total time for public comment will be limited to 45 minutes, and comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. The board chair or board may modify these time limits. Individuals sharing comments are expected to communicate with decorum and respect. Individuals who engage in disorderly conduct or use derisive or insulting language may have their time reduced or concluded by the board chair. At the conclusion of public comment, individual board members may respond to criticism made by those who address the board, may ask a staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. Members of the board, however, may not discuss or take legal action on matters raised during public comment unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. Finally, be advised that there are also several internal college processes available to students and employees for direct communication. And with that, I would like to call on our first public speaker, Lori Kierstad-Joseph.
Hi there. Good evening, everyone. Chairperson Ripley and board members, thank you so much for having us here today. I'm actually joined by one of my colleagues in public comment, so she'll be right behind me. But I just want to introduce her and say it is Volunteer Appreciation Week, and we're here to highlight the amazing work of the volunteers in the Adult Basic Ed for College and Career program. Our volunteer coordinator, Montserrat Caballero, does an incredible job of recruiting and onboarding and training and supporting dozens of volunteers in our program on a regular basis each year. And so we're here to just kind of raise awareness that these volunteers who you may not even know are out there are doing really great work to help our learners have the supports that they need. So it's really the support of this board and all of the folks at Pima and in the college that help make sure that we have the space to do this, but it's Montserrat who really makes it happen. So I'm just going to hand things over to Montserrat to share her comments today.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much. As Lori mentioned, my name is Montserrat Caballero, and I have the privilege of being the volunteer coordinator in our ABEC division because I work with the countless community members who do so much. So for this year, 21-22, overall, we have had over 100 different community members step up in many different ways and help our adult learners. And currently we have over 70 volunteers right now working in the program. helping learners. And thanks to their efforts, learners become U.S. citizens through our citizenship classes. They better their math, reading, writing, and English language skills by having the opportunity to work one-on-one with a tutor. They get extra help studying for their GED tests, so they successfully pass their tests. They attend English clubs run by volunteers. They attend computer clubs run by volunteers, just to better their digital literacy skills and improve their conversation skills in English language clubs. So thanks to their efforts, we have roughly any given year anywhere from 5,000 to sometimes even 10,000 hours donated to our program, which you can imagine the return on investment there in terms of how many staff people it would take if we didn't have these volunteers. So they are crucial, they are critical to our mission, and it really is my true honor to work with these dedicated community members. All next week, we will be posting on our ABEC social media accounts. So please, if you're not already following, please follow us, and we'll be posting stories and pictures and videos of thanks from staff and from volunteers themselves. And we will be presenting all of our volunteers at the May BOG meeting for formal recognition as well. So we'll get to hear more about the wonderful efforts of our volunteers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I can't tell you how grateful I am, we all are, for the services that you provide to the school, to the community, and I mean, really, I'm not being hyperbolic here, but to the world. It's amazing, it's incredible, and we are eternally grateful. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Michaela Hayes.
Hello. Sorry, one second. Good evening, Chair Ripley, Chancellor, board members, colleagues, and guests. My name is Michaela Hayes. I'm math faculty, Pima Online Department Head, and PCCEA President. First, I would like to thank Board Chair Ripley and Vice Chair Klinko, along with Chancellor Lambert, for holding a town hall meeting for employees. I think it was helpful for employees to have a way to ask questions directly in that format, and I hope we have more of this type of event in the future. Among the questions that were brought up at the town hall, the biggest lingering questions seem to be centered around the classification and compensation studies. There are some information sessions to be put on by the HR team later this month, and I hope that the questions asked at the town hall, in Faculty Senate, and in AERC can be addressed more fully in these meetings or shortly after. I believe the biggest concerns from employees stem from the fact that many still feel in the dark about the process and the content of the study up to this point. Questions about the timeline of what to expect and how inflation or any delays will affect next year were asked at the town hall, and I think it highlights the need for more transparency beyond the steering committees. Last Friday, Dr. B came to AERC. I would like to thank him for coming and answering our questions regarding the budget, inflation, and compensation matters. It was a good discussion and helpful to hear from him in that format. Dr. B was optimistic that this study can be done in time to place people on the salary schedule by July 1st. PCCA would support this, but we are concerned that there just aren't enough days left on the calendar. That being said, we would like to work with administration to see if we can accomplish that goal. In the event there is a delay, PCCEA has requested to see something done at the beginning of the contract year in order to help people bridge the gap until new contracts can be issued and pay adjusted accordingly. Perhaps a stipend to help people be able to pay for the rising cost of gas and food as we go into fall. As a final note regarding class and comp, I would like to reiterate a request I made at the town hall. I would ask that the board keep it a high priority in budget discussions to ensure that there are enough funds available to make necessary adjustments to employee salaries. As you know, employees have gone 8 years now without real raises in order to honor the work given to the college, and only small adjustments for cost of living in some of those years. I don't know that these adjustments can really be considered COLAs, as they didn't keep up with inflation. They were really just diet COLAs. But in all seriousness, it would be quite demoralizing, especially in a year with incredibly high inflation rates, to hear that one should be getting a market-based pay adjustment on the new salary scales, but the college hasn't allocated enough resources to pay for it. I absolutely understand the realities the college budget faces with declining enrollment, lack of state dollars, etc. But many employees are also facing tight home budgets with rising costs of childcare, food, gas, utilities, medical expenses, etc. and we really appreciate you keeping a close eye to college budgets that could be reallocated to personnel without detracting from service from our students in order to make sure that pay can be appropriate. I'm sure you agree, our students deserve a workforce that isn't feeling undervalued, exhausted from trying to keep up financially, and unable to continue giving beyond the minimum. They deserve the support of faculty and staff who are satisfied and secure in their positions and capable of fully focusing on student needs. Thank you so much for your time and consideration and focus on such important issues.
Thank you so much, Michaela. Any comments? Okay. Our next speaker is Watfa Chufe Moscaso. Watfa Chufe Moscaso, are you there? We'll give it a couple minutes.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, okay, she's here. Yes, please, thank you. Go ahead, you're on.
Yes, good evening, Board Chair, Ms. Ripley, members of the Board, Chancellor Lambert, Board Representatives, colleagues, and guests. Ms. Ripley, I would like to address you directly to respectfully ask for additional time to present 2 of the 3 public comments that I had requested and initially confirmed. Later to find out this afternoon that, as a matter of fact, I cannot do it. So if you would allow me to extend my time to an appropriate length that you consider appropriate.
Yes, you have 3 minutes normally, but we can extend that to 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. For the record, I'm here representing myself as a college employee and also as a taxpayer and as a constituent of District 1. So, Ms. Ripley, you are my district leader. There are 2 topics that I would like to address. The first item is I would like to share with the rest of the board members my concern of systemic discrimination that I brought up during the employee town hall at West Campus. And the second item is to report perceived discrepancies in procedures when employees report suspected violations of civil rights policies and laws. I would like the audience to know that making the decision of bringing these concerns forward to the board and in public has not been an easy one. And it's definitely not something that I take lightly. I have received advice from different people throughout my journey, including leaving the college because nothing will change, as people say. As a matter of fact, things are getting worse every day. So as I mentioned during the town hall meeting, I am concerned about discrimination, and my concern began in 2017 and 2018 with the departure of several female administrators, mostly women of color, who left the college in a very short period. Some of you will remember Lorraine Morales, Alison Coulter-Mack, Irma Federico, Leticia Anduaga, amongst others. I am aware of a couple of these individuals who went ahead and filed complaints with the Office of Dispute Resolution. Seeing no results, they had to go outside to state or federal agencies to file their complaints. In late 2019, I became a victim of discriminatory harassment by a high-level administrator. I became aware of other women, mostly women of color, who were also being discriminated or treated unfairly, and did not want to report harassment or toxic work environment created by the same individual. We are now seeing another group of employees, primarily of color, who are leaving the college. And I believe that the board should investigate why. After my comment at the town hall, a few employees reached out to me to share their concerns and also their hesitation to bring their concerns forward, fearing retaliation and waiting for an opportunity to leave the college. Similar concerns have been discussed at the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Group, working with Chair Hilda Lackner. Unfortunately, some members of the boards have not demonstrated respect toward members of the board who are of color, and that only promotes the behavior to become acceptable by other employees at the college. Yourself, Mr. Klinko, and Chancellor made reference to policies and procedures and protocols established to report this type of situations. When I've had actions that I considered to violate policies or code of conduct, or discrimination, harassment, retaliation, I have followed the chain of command, starting with my direct supervisor, the supervisor of the individual suspected of violating policies and laws, and also further reported to the Office of Dispute Resolution. I have also sent reports to the board as applicable when concerns are being brought up against Chancellor Lambert, as I did on September 6th. But it seems that we don't get any resolution, and I believe there is some conflict of interest among some of the individuals leading those processes, or individuals reporting to those individuals who have shown signs of not working with integrity. As a matter of fact, I had to file a complaint with the EEOC, and that has been the hardest thing that I have to do. And
Excuse me, Ms. Chifa Moscaso, I'm sorry, but we've come up to 5 minutes, and we've started late, and we have a big agenda, and your voice is heard. We've all heard it here by the board members, and please know this, and I say this with complete transparency and honesty, that any kind of discrimination, and your statement used the word systemic, will not be tolerated here. We will definitely look into it. A lot of these I've heard of, and some I have. It's the first I've heard of it, but it's something that we take extremely seriously. No one will ever be fired, ever be fired because they came forward with a complaint. This I promise you. So we will look into this. I apologize, but your 5 minutes is up, and we do need to move forward. So thank you so much for being here, Watfa.
thank you.
Okay. I think that is, those are all our speakers. So we need to move forward to our next agenda item, which is board member remarks. And I will just go around the room just in order of where we're sitting. Board Member Gonzalez, would you like to go first?
I just want to say good evening to the community, to staff, faculty, and students as well too. I have minimal to report, but one of the things I do want to share in reference to what we've been doing, we did attend a conference a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was a good conference. The keynote speakers were very outstanding. There was one of them, Mr. Andrade, that really mentioned and shared with administrators out there in reference to equity and equality. I think he brought in some strong points that I would like to share maybe at the May meeting. But right now, I just want to congratulate the people that are going to be graduating the 18th of May. But more important right now, I want to acknowledge our community reference to the Lenten season that we have. I know tonight's a big night. In fact, it started on Sunday. But the whole week, we are committed in reference to our religion. And one of the things I want to share with the public and the community is that even though we have a very strong faith and strong commitment to our culture, our tradition, and our language, is that it's something that's never been heard of. We even close the casinos for Wednesday through Sunday, even though we're losing a lot of money, but we have the majority of our people working for that, for the casino. We take it seriously because our faith is what we're here. We want to acknowledge our ancestors that came before us and those that will come after us as well too. Coming back to what I mentioned a while ago, Mr. Andrade, that was one of his things that he mentioned, reference to the culture of the minorities. One of his quote that he mentioned is, "La cultura cura." The culture cures, and it's healing. So that's one of the things that I want to reemphasize within the community, not only with the culture of our own culture, but also the culture of the school system, the culture of school, the culture of the post-secondary institutions, the culture of the universities as well too. But more important, the knowledge and the reference to what we're here for as board members, to provide and promote and dedicate ourselves in reference to providing the best services to our students at the college level, but also assisting those that are coming before us at the 8th grade through high school as well too. With those two little few words, I just want to say that have a great Easter. We'll see our students back again when they do graduate. I know there's various graduations that are coming up with the fire program system as well too. But with that, 1 or 2 words, I wanted to say thank you, and everybody have a great Easter, and enjoy yourself with families and friends. Thank you.
Next, Board Member Garcia.
Welcome everybody who's listening in on this Zoom meeting. And so first of all, I want to thank the faculty and staff for doing an outstanding job in supporting our students and our community. Without you, Pima would not exist. It takes dedicated educators and staff support to make this community, this college work. And I'm going to continue on with a little bit of what Chairperson Ripley stated. And that is that we, and I, am definitely committed in social justice and to ensure that people are not discriminated against, that our staff and faculty do not live in fear of their jobs because they come forward with a complaint, that the process is fair and equitable to everyone, but a thorough investigation has to be done. And I know that it's, as I was explaining earlier today, that in our culture, especially the Native American and the Mexican American community, we're not used to stating, or although I'm a crybaby, we're not used to stating how we really feel inside. We hide it, we shut up. It's kind of like the olden days. You remember Mexicans used to bow their head, just listen and be scolded. Those days have ended. So please, if you have a legitimate complaint, please follow the process. Please let the board know. Chairperson Ripley has graciously said that she will follow through and ensure that everything is fair and equitable and that everything is looked into. I believe her, and I hope that you all do, and we will support her. So please, again, if you do have any issues, please come forward, and thank you. Have a happy Easter. God bless you.
Thank you. Next, Board Member Klinko.
Thank you very much, Chair Ripley. First, I want to thank the chair for the invitation to participate in the PCC Town Hall along with Chancellor Lambert. I thought it was an extraordinary opportunity to really listen to employees of the college and have the opportunity to answer questions. And I want to really thank the college employees who participated and shared their thoughts, their concerns, and their thoughtful questions, which really created, I thought, a very dynamic dialogue, and I sincerely hope it's something that will continue. I also want to thank Marcy Euler and the PCC Foundation for a tour of the new Advanced Manufacturing Center. It is extraordinarily inspiring to see Chancellor Lambert's and this board's vision for the future of our region and our community coming to fruition. The physical construction is just a remarkable symbol of the transformation in education that's occurring because of this college. And to know that the jobs of the future are going to be built here is so powerful. And I would encourage all of the board members, if you haven't had an opportunity to go see the site under construction, it is really unbelievable. So again, I just want to congratulate Chancellor Lambert for continuing to lead with such a strong vision for this region and this community. It is so inspiring, and I personally am so thankful for your leadership in helping to craft and bring to fruition these remarkable assets that will shape this city and this county for generations to come. So thank you. And that's all my remarks.
Thank you. Next, we have Board Member Dr. Hay.
I have no comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I just have a few things to say, but thank you, board members, for your remarks, your time, and your devotion to this college. We are so grateful to have you on the board. Last week, first I'll start with this. I did attend the August Wilson play that PCC Theater and Arts put on. The piano lesson, and if you didn't see it, you really missed something amazing. It was an amazing social statement, an amazing play, and also incredible talent. And I think we need more of those types of plays to be performed, and everything in the arts, the musicians as well. It's an important time, and I think arts, music, dance, and fine arts can really take the place of dialogue in most cases when there's a lot of social upheaval going on. So thank you for that. I also attended last night the play, the musical Hadestown. I also encourage you, I know this is kind of a little bit out of turn, but again, an incredible statement on social justice that everyone really needs to hear, and it was an amazing performance. So with that, last week I also attended the Higher Learning Commission, as did a few board members, and the Chancellor and some administrators. I took away some very interesting and sometimes daunting information. It's no secret that higher education is changing. And I'm not going to say for the better or for worse, but it is changing. And this change, according to many of the keynote speakers and the last keynote speakers, this was coming and happened before, and not because of pandemic. It was already coming down the pike. Students around the country are opting out of college because they need jobs ASAP. And for universities, the barriers to entrance are just too challenging. However, so long as we have folks in our community who desire and need the pathways that we offer, we will continue to make it happen at community college. One of the simplest and most humble messages I heard at the conference came from the keynote speaker on day one, similar to Board Member Gonzalez's remarks from Mr. Andrade. He stated that the most important thing we should be doing for our students is being aware of their wellness, not referring to their health care, but their mental wellness. We have people at our campuses from every walk of life, and many more people show up broken, lost, and emotionally unwell, both students and employees. As a community college, our number one loyalty is to the community and the students from our community. We are not just a transactional company like the for-profit schools, transactional in that you pay money and we give you a certificate or degree in return. We do that, but if we are the hub of this community in Tucson, Arizona, which I think we are, then let us be that hub. Let us be that safe space. Let us be that ray of light. Let us be the place to go that is affordable and welcoming, as well as state of the art. Our students deserve the best professors, the best facilities, and the best technologies to not just level the playing field, but to give them an edge in the world. Community college can do that. Pima Community College can and is doing that. The pandemic taught us many things, but one of the most important things I hope we all can understand is that we're all connected. We all feel a collective pain, a collective sorrow, a collective sense of loss, a collective loneliness, a collective existential reality on at the tail end of this pandemic. We are a big community college, but not the biggest, and not even the most amazing, but it is ours. It belongs to us, to you. So if we're providing students with degrees or certificates or pathway to a 4-year university degree, or just the chance to learn a language or how to play an instrument, we must do it holistically. Look and listen to your fellow employees. Look and listen to your students. Look and listen to your fellow board members and the chancellor. Know when one is hurting or sad or struggling. Reach out, talk to them, help each other. We are only as well as our most unwell and most vulnerable students and staff. Tucson is our town. Oro Valley and Marana are our towns. South Tucson is our town. Green Valley, Vale, and Sahuarita are our towns. Anything short of love, compassion, and empathy does not serve us as a community. It's what distinguishes us from the universities and from the for-profit colleges. Thank you for indulging me in these remarks. We have a lot of work to do every single day, and we have so much room for improvement and change. I know this. We all know this. The chancellor knows this. So I urge us all to do it. Yes, with logic, passion, and commitment, but also, please, with kindness, understanding, and empathy for those who are trying to do their best but struggling. Thank you so much. With that, our next agenda topic is the Pima mission moment. Chancellor?
Madam Chair, it's my pleasure to be able to introduce our Pima's mission moment. And so we have a couple of students who will be joining us from our IBEST programs. So Haley and Athena, are you on?
Yes.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chancellor. My name is Wendy Shader Black. I'm actually going to kick us off tonight for our mission moment and set us up a little bit to fill you in just on what our IBEST program is and does, and then introduce our students so they can share some of their successes. So good evening to everybody, to board members, guests, and colleagues. I am the Director for Adult Education Services in the Adult Education for College and Career Division of Pima Community College. And I am really thrilled to be here tonight and have the opportunity to share with you the ways in which our IBEST programs support the mission of our college and truly promote student success. I brought with me the people you really need to hear from, an IBEST instructor and 2 of our many star students to share some of their successes with you. Before I pass it over to them, I'm just going to let you know a little bit more about IBEST to provide some context for what they will share. So for anyone who doesn't know already, IBEST stands for Integrated Basic Education and Skills Training. It's an educational model coming out of Washington State, which essentially merges adult basic education and career and technical education into one program. So all of our IBEST programs include CTE faculty and adult education instructor co-teaching in the classroom together. The career and technical education faculty member will teach the technical content, while the adult basic education instructor teaches the math, reading, and writing skills that are needed for students to succeed in the CTE credit coursework. They also will teach employment readiness skills and also support those students who are pursuing their high school equivalency diplomas. IBEST also brings in essential partners, including Pima County One Stop, JobPath, and the Women's Foundation for the state of Arizona. They all provide access to the resources that students need, whether it's funding or bus passes or referrals to community organizations, technology tools, anything that the students need to help them persist and succeed in this program. We want to connect our students to those resources. So this integrated model brings those resources that students need to succeed together under one roof. And the success is really clear. About 75% of all of our IBEST students complete their certificate program within 1 year. And another key success of this model is how effectively it has opened up access to career training for our adult learners who are seeking their high school equivalency diplomas, like the 2 students here tonight. About half of our IBEST students are pursuing their HSE diplomas at the same time they're pursuing a CTE certificate. So at its core, IBEST is all about integration and collaboration to create a holistic approach to student learning. We've worked very closely with CTE leaders like Dean Amanda Abens and Dean Greg Wilson from the very beginning of IBEST at PCC. And they have helped us identify what programs would be a really good fit for this model and have together with us co-designed the most effective models for our students. So that's IBEST in a nutshell. Now I'd like you to meet one of our IBEST instructors, Linda Kangas, who is here to introduce our 2 IBEST students. Linda?
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Board and Chancellor. My name is Linda Kangas, and I am an IBEST instructor. I have been in the IBEST program for the last 4 years. I've been an adult ed instructor for the last 23 years. It has been my privilege and joy to have both of the following students in my IBEST classes. The first student I'm going to introduce is Athena, or who we call TT, Martinez. She started in the Building and Construction Certificate program in August of 2021. TT is a source of motivation and inspiration to her peers. So TT, I'm turning it over to you now.
Thank you, Linda. Hello, my name is Athena Martinez. I am 31 years old. I am a mother of 6 and a first-generation college student. As a young child, I faced homelessness, living on the streets with my mother off and on until I was placed into DCS custody at the age of 12. I went to many group homes and some foster homes up until when I aged out. At 18, I ended up getting pregnant and I had to drop out of school because I had no support or resources to continue. I faced homelessness for a long period of time afterwards. I returned to school once before when I was 24 years old, but with little to no success, I had no desire or drive to complete it. I returned to school last year in February 2021 at the age of 30 with Pima's adult education program, determined to change my life and my children's outlook on their futures. As of August 9th, 2021, I discovered Building and Construction Technologies, the IBEST program, and began to mountain climb to my success. Through BCT IBEST, I have become more confident in myself as a learner, and I've gained more knowledge and a better communication skills. I've built many friendships. I have completed 16 credits so far, and 2 weeks ago, I was inducted into the National Adult Education Honor Society. I was nominated by my instructors, Jenny and Linda. Not only has Building and Construction Technologies, IBEST, changed my outlook on school, but through this program, with the support and encouragement from others, I have earned my high school equivalency diploma within just a month and a half after starting with IBEST. I've gained a support system and a cohort that believes in each other. I have a cheer squad and 2 advisors, Stacy Fox and Rosa Rocamante, who keep me organized and on task. I honestly don't think I would have made it this far without the additional instructional time before or after class. The extra time gave me the chance to get ahead and relearn skills that I lost over time. As of right now, I am working as a student aide at the Downtown Campus Learning Center. I have become more driven to keep going. Even beyond the certificate, I plan to get my associate's degree. I hope to become a contractor to assist low-income families in South Tucson and build foundations to help with the homeless population. Through this journey, I found that my children, my husband, my family, and my cohort have become my drive and my motivation to continue with my education. I want them to see me succeed so that they can continue to succeed as well. I am wiser, smarter, and more ambitious, and I hope to continue down the path I am traveling to have a brighter and more successful future. Thank you for the opportunity for me to share my story with you.
Thank you, TT, and what a powerful story. So the next student I'm going to introduce is Haley Aguilar. She started in the medical assistant program in April of 2021. Haley is so gracious and shows such great empathy that pursuing a medical assistant certificate was a perfect fit for her. Haley?
Thank you, Linda. Hello, all. I was born into a family of 7 children.
I was the only one to drop out of school and the first to graduate college. I began this journey for my son. He gave me my purpose and my meaning. At the age of 20, I became a single mother to a micro preemie. Our lives revolved around monitors and machines with brilliant nurses, doctors, and specialists to guide us through it all. Bright-eyed at the knowledge and capabilities of these amazing individuals, how each role was just as important as the next, it lit something inside of me, which led me here. I have admired the healthcare professionals that have led my son and I throughout our journey. I wake up every day and try to make just as much of an impact. I chose to be an ally. I chose to be a medical assistant. For 13 months, I strived to do my best, not imagining that I would ever accomplish this much. With the medical assistant IBEST program, I was given a second chance at life, the chance to start again and do it my way. I have never experienced such support and guidance as I had throughout my schooling with Pima Community College. I felt heard and understood for the first time in a very long time. As an adult pursuing education, it can be very intimidating. There were hurdles I didn't expect to face, like completing my certification during a pandemic, with all of my classes proctored online, all while studying to obtain my high school equivalency diploma as well. Despite it all, I pushed forward and I succeeded. I spent my life before slinging drinks and perfecting my Manhattans, to now dipping urine and perfecting my light hand with needle sticks. I have truly always loved what I do. I just knew I wanted to push myself for more. The process of progress is never ending. Starting is the hardest part. To see what I am capable of, what I can accomplish, it has driven me to strive for so much more. This is my beginning in the healthcare field, with hopes to reach my goal of becoming an RN, working in labor and delivery, or in the NICU, where my story began. I am extremely thankful to all those involved in the medical assistant IBEST program who have had an impact on me and my fellow classmates. Their support and guidance has given us the chance to succeed when all the odds may be against us. Thank you all for all you do.
Thank you, Haley. That was a wonderful story. Okay, Wendy.
Thank you so much, Haley and TT, for taking the time out of your very busy lives to be here tonight. I know Haley just was on her way home from work. She works at Banner over at University, and she swung by here at downtown campus to join me at my office so she could participate in this meeting. And TT, I know that you've got a house full at home that you're trying to take care of in between managing all that you do with your work here at downtown campus and also your studies with BCT. So thank you so much for coming here to share your stories tonight. We're really grateful. Your successes are absolutely the reason that we are all here. We do what we do for your successes, and we celebrate with you. I just want to close by thanking the board for giving a little bit of a space at the top of these meetings to acknowledge the successes of our programs and, more importantly, of our students.
Thank you so much. You really put it well. And I just want you to know that both TT and Haley have touched our hearts, and we are grateful for what you all do. And our community is all the richer for students like this. So thank you so much. So next on the agenda, we have reports. And the first report is administration. One of our administrators, we have Dr. Doré. Dr. Doré will be talking about the fall retention initiatives. So this is about enrollment and retention. Thank you. Dr. Doré.
Thank you, and good evening, Chair Ripley, members of the governing board, Chancellor Lambert, colleagues, guests, and students. This evening, I'm going to give a brief overview of, both Phil and I are going to give a brief overview of current enrollment at the college, as well as current access and retention initiatives, and then marketing and external relations efforts leading into fall 2022. And I want to acknowledge all of our employees for their efforts throughout the last year to increase access and retention for our students. So to begin, I'd like to provide an overview of current enrollment at the college. Now, spring 2021 headcount was down about 18% from spring 2020, and that's the semester that the pandemic started. And while this spring is down compared to last spring, the good news is the decrease is much less substantial at about 4.28%. Now, these enrollment numbers do not yet include dual enrollment, ABE, or full-year term workforce and training programs. Now, on a more positive note, the summer registration started, and so far our headcount and enrollment numbers are higher than each of the previous 3 years, with a 4.5% increase over last year in headcount. Now, this spring and summer data come from STAR daily registration reports. Now, in terms of retention trends, if you look at retention from fall 2019 to fall 2020 and compare that to fall 2020 to 2021, we had a 3% increase in retention. And additionally, fall registration only opened last week, so it's a little too early to report those numbers. However, so far there does appear to be an increase in fall registration to date compared to each of the last 4 years. So we're looking at some pretty positive trends there. Now, next, I'll give an overview of some of the initiatives to promote student access, retention, and student success this semester. Student affairs and college readiness and student success continue to lead and implement numerous programs for student access, retention, and student wellness. This semester, for example, in January and February, our program advisors conducted over 2,800 in-depth program advising appointments. Additionally, all new students are contacted 3 times throughout the semester to set up an advising meeting and create a student academic plan. Now, the program advising teams will also participate in a global advising week the first week of May to connect students with their program advising teams. Additionally, the student engagement team has been very active this spring with both virtual and in-person events to promote retention and student wellness. For example, there have been a number of mental health and wellness events throughout the semester, including counseling wellness Wednesdays and workshops such as cultivating resilience and mental flexibility, and many other additional wellness sessions offered throughout student life. This week, there's a university transfer fair planned at multiple campuses with representatives from the 3 state universities, as well as other transfer universities as well. And there's a health sciences career fair tomorrow, and we're doing a lot of those types of things throughout the semester as well. Now, another major college event is also scheduled for tomorrow, and that is the National Signing Day. And that's taking place in person at West Campus. And I want to thank all of the staff in the Chancellor's office and all of the academic leaders and deans who really have helped to get students involved with this really exciting annual event in which our incoming students commit publicly to complete their program of study. Now, also under the Division of Student Experience, Jeff Fees, he continues to lead the student support services that really have proven to be very effective, including, the lending of the mobile devices and the hotspots. Now, we're actually institutionalizing that process moving forward. And then multiple measures and Pima Ed Ready placement options that are far more effective in predicting course success than those traditional proctored placement tests. Now, from the Workforce Development Division, they've really continued hosting events to connect students with employers, including Focus on Your Future. They have an event with Applied Tech, IT and Business, and they have an aviation hiring event as well. And then Workforce Development is also leading the development of 2 Economic Development Administration grant applications for Build Back Better and the Good Jobs Challenge grants. And this is really proceeding with a lot of funds for new programs and the expansion of the Pima Fast Track. And what we're doing there with some of this grant dollars is including navigators with Pima Connect to help those students persist and succeed. And then from academic affairs, the deans are collaborating with the campus vice presidents on developing pathways, course scheduling pathways at the campuses. There's going to be a large scheduling summit coming up in May. They'll all be working on that. And then Pima Online went live with Pima Online Navigators. And what this is current online students that are available to assist other online students with navigating the college's online environment. And these navigators are available to help students in the evenings and on weekends. And in terms of the Centers of Excellence programs, are further developing their programming and partnerships. You know, another example, in collaboration with the Workforce Division and our IT and Hospitality Centers, as well as our truck driving program, we're working to provide on-site training at the Gospel Rescue Mission for the residents there, and that's in collaboration with the Center of Opportunity. And all of the Centers of Excellence are continuing that critical outreach to the community through high school presentations, community outreach, and events. Now, I also want to commend our dual enrollment team for their work this past year, further developing those partnerships with the high schools. You know, those enrollment numbers continue to grow. We're seeing with current year enrollment at 8,000, and then the current head count this year at over 4,600 students. We hired 5 new high school recruiters that began in March, and they're out in the high schools working with seniors who are applying to Pima. They're conducting senior guidance visits, connecting with enrollment advisors, financial aid, and setting up tours, and really establishing really a high presence in the high schools, you know, moving forward. And I've also been visiting the high schools this semester, and I've seen this team in action, and, you know, they're really awesome, quite frankly. And, you know, I've had discussions with the principals and the superintendents, and they seem very pleased with this new model.
Dr. DeRay, I just want to give you the 2-minute warning.
I'm sorry?
You have 2 more minutes, Dr. DeRay.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Well, then with that, I want to, because we only have 2 more minutes, I want to pass it on to Phil Burdick, who is the Executive Vice Chancellor for Outreach.
Thank you, David. Again, working hand in hand with the enrollment team and retention. Marketing has done a great job under Paul Schwalbach to really reach out to students to sign up for classes in the spring. And you can see that in our numbers, how we've really slowed down the number of students who did not return to the spring. So although we were hoping for something less than 4%, we're really pleased at the trend, the upward trend for spring enrollment, but that did not come easily. We sent out texts 4 times to current students, over 13,000. We geo-fenced homes of current students, that's over 13,000 students. Under Paul's guidance, we also emailed stop-outs. Those are students who attended Pima or applied to Pima over the last 3 years but did not complete. We sent out over 40,000 emails to those stop-outs to register for the spring or consider us for the fall. Go ahead and to the next slide. You also saw these signs around campus just to remind busy students to register for spring classes. We thought that was very effective. You go to the next slide. And we're already fall, even though it's April, fall enrollment marketing campaign is already underway. We've sent 3 out of 4 planned mailers to high school parents. Those are actually in front of you, and you can see this mailer here. And then I would also invite you to just go ahead and open this piece that's right in front of you. Go ahead and open it up. If you could, just flick the 2 sides here, and you'll see it's going to pop up here. You just open up the 2 flaps, and then you see this kind of cube that pops up. So this is the product of the genius of Paul Schwalbach and the people at Gordley Group who come up with these ingenious ways to make things that, you know, you get in the mail more interesting, and really try to put in the minds of parents, especially, that PCC might be an option for them come the fall. So in addition to these mailers, and again, we're going to be mailing parents and students all throughout the spring and summer with pieces like these. We're also reaching out via radio, Spanish radio, streaming audio, general banner ads, paid search. So if you search for colleges or particular programs, in Google or whatever your browser is, hopefully Pima Community College will pop up as an ad on those search. Social media, as well as the outdoor ads. Go ahead, next slide. We've also done a great job of marketing our newest program, Pima Fast Track, which you've heard about, where students can get recognized credentials in a short amount of time. You can go ahead to the next slide. We've had to date over 4,000 inquiries for this program, thanks to our marketing efforts, which is great. And really, they're hitting the kind of audience that we're really hoping to get. Those who are unemployed or underemployed. Our marketing is bilingual. So we're really hitting the target market in those inquiries that we were hoping to hit. I think a great part of this program is the financial assistance we're receiving for these adults, because I think without that financial assistance, it would be very difficult for them to give up whatever they're doing and, go in this direction for Pima Fast Track. Go to the next slide. So this is an example of some of our outdoor advertising that you're going to be seeing now throughout the fall, the spring, summer, and fall. You'll be seeing this on buses, billboards, bus shelters, throughout the Pima County area. And with that, I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you so much. That's amazing, and this is a tremendous effort on the communications team's part, so thank you so much, Phil, for that. I know personally I get a lot of pieces of mail and throw half of them away, but this one certainly will attract some attention. And I think the affordability, accessibility, and equity piece of it is really something I think you succeeded in hitting home. So keep doing it. Thank you. And just for everyone to know, we all, as a board and Chancellor, we pretty much charged Phil with this task, and he came through hugely. So thank you so much for doing this, and we look forward to seeing the results. Thank you. Any other? Yes, Board Member Garcia has a question.
Phil, could you please tell me, of the people that did inquiries, how many of them actually completed and registered?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have what's called a CRM system. It's called Customer Relationship Management System. We are actually looking at a vendor to implement that system, and that's an excellent question. Because we want to be able to do that. We want to make sure that we track someone when they make that first call to PCC, when they make that first email or text us, and we want to follow their journey all the way until they actually complete their application. We don't have the systems in place to do that now, but I'm hoping by July or August, we'll have that system in place, and then we can report back to you, Board Member Garcia, and the rest of the board, exactly what we call that conversion rate will be.
One of the other things that I would like to see is the completion rates on the different programs for Fast Track. That would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And just, can you touch really briefly on also, I don't know if you've spoken about this before to the board, but can you just reiterate the employees that are actually posted at these schools 3 days a week?
Yeah, so maybe Dr. DeRay would have a better answer for that, but I will tell you that our area is working very closely with James's team to come up with a lot of this marketing collateral so that the people who are now in those schools have the marketing collateral, both in English and Spanish, to make sure that they leave an impression for prospective students. Dr. DeRay, you want to answer the rest of that?
Yes, Board Member Ripley, those recruiters are essentially out in the schools most all the time. So I've been really impressed. When I've gone to the high schools, they've got the tables there. They're set up during lunch, and a lot of students are coming up. They're also going in and speaking to seniors in classes and so forth. So I've been really impressed with how they've hit the ground running. They only started in March, and James had them out to the schools within about a week.
Great, thank you so much. I know we took a little bit more time on this topic, but enrollment and retention is the board's #1 concern. So thank you so much, everybody, for your patience. Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much, Dr. DeRay and Phil, for your amazing information and all the work that you've been doing. We have one more administrator, Dr. Bruce Moses from the Higher Learning Commission, a little bit of an update.
Good evening, board members, Ripley, fellow board members, Chancellor, colleagues and friends. So it seems like I'm frozen.
No, you're not frozen. We see you.
Okay,
we hear
great.
you.
So there's not much to report right now. The peer reviewers are doing their work. The intent is to provide the college with a report on April 24th, a draft report on April 24th, or by April 24th, I should say. And then we will be able to check for errors of fact. After that, we will submit the report back to the peer reviewers in HLC. The peer reviewers will then do their final look at the report, and their intentions is to get it back to the Higher Learning Commission by May 24th. And then the Higher Learning Commission will finalize it. Will go to the Institutional Action Council, the IAC. They will either accept the recommendation of the peer review team, or they would make some other type of recommendation. So in reality, right now, there's very little to report here. There might be a possibility that the reviewers may ask for additional information from us. I have a call scheduled with the Being Young, the peer reviewer, just to follow up with him to see if he has everything he needed to receive that he asked for additionally prior to leaving for the visit. That call is tomorrow. And so I'll get back to the Chancellor and report back to him to make sure that he has everything that he needs to continue on with his work. That's pretty much it at this point in time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moses.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda is reports by representatives to the board. We have a total of 25 minutes for this. Our first report comes from the student member Colin Bryant.
Good evening, Chairwoman Ripley, Chancellor Lambert, governing board members, faculty, fellow students, and guests. It is April, everyone. That means that the Pima Aztec Student Senate elections are open. I encourage everyone here to spread the word to students they know so they can get their vote in. Our Student Senate is a crucial part of this college, and every vote matters. On to a mural project update. As many of you know, this year's Student Senate has decided to paint a mural to bring life and color to downtown campus. This lasting project can be looked at as a direct reflection of the unity, strength, and persistence that has been exhibited in this year's Student Senate from the first day they were brought together. We would like to give back to the institution that made it all possible. However, we have recently been informed that the wall has been approved for us to paint may possibly be torn down in the future. Carrying through with this project, painting on a wall that could possibly be torn down in the future would undermine the entire ethos that has been driving our project. That our mural would be a gift for students and staff alike to appreciate years from now in the future. The Student Senate now urgently requests any and all information on the renovation plans for downtown campus, particularly on the ST building, which is where the auto tech shop is located. If anybody listening to this has information, please email the Student Senate email that is pcc-studentsenators@pima.edu. Again, that is pcc-studentsenators@pima.edu. If it is confirmed that the wall is to be torn down, the resilient student senators have a plan B, which will preserve the ethos driving our project. Plan B is to paint a mural on polytab cloth, also known as parachute fabric, which could be toured campus to campus until it finds a permanent home. Now, moving on. Back in February, I was delighted to recognize 3 Pima students who received the Phi Theta Kappa All Arizona Team Scholarship. Well, this evening, I have better news. 2 Pima students have been recognized on the national level. receiving the Phi Theta Kappa All USA Team Scholarship. Let me note, this is a scholarship that only recognizes 20 of the best community college scholars across the nation. And Pima Community College has 2 of these 20. And without further ado, I'd like to recognize and congratulate, in the face of the governing board, our Pima Aztec Student Senate Co-Secretary, Andrea Salazar Calderon, and our Phi Theta Kappa President, Haliana Pillar. If it is not apparent already, I take every chance I get in this position to showcase examples of students who truly put on for the college. And with that, thank you, everyone here, for your never-ending efforts to improve our Pima Community College.
Thank you so much, Colin, and thank you for all you do and for that report. And we will certainly look into the wall and get back to you as soon as possible. So thank you for that. Good job.
Thank you.
Next, we have the adjunct faculty report with Sean Mendoza.
Chairwoman Ripley, Chancellor Lambert, members of the board, and honored guests. This month, I would like to highlight 3 important updates: professional development funds, adjunct faculty tiered system, and changes to faculty and staff terms of the All College Council. As you may recall from my last report, adjunct faculty now have access to professional development funding, which has the potential to positively impact the students of the college. According to Brian Stewart and the review committee, 22 applicants have applied and have received funding, leaving a little over 14,000 left for the year. Adjunct faculty are encouraged to submit applications before the end of the spring semester, and we believe this is a great start to an opportunity never before provided to us by previous administrations. Thank you, Chancellor Lambert and the board members for your support. As mentioned in the last meeting, the Adjunct Faculty Tiered Committee has been working diligently with our faculty peers, administration, and all college council representatives to develop policies for Pima's adjunct faculty tiered system. Kate Schmidt of the Provost's Office and Sarah Jensen, a fellow adjunct faculty member and AERC rep, continue to lead a committee of staff and faculty, full and part-time, in the development of this important initiative. Members of this committee include Dina Wakefield, Jennifer Wiley, Michaela Hayes, Lynn Mayers, and myself. And as we continue to engage with our faculty peers and the AERC processes, I'm excited to say college administration's feedback on the development and implementation of this initiative has been well received. And we want to thank you, Dr. B, for your continued support and feedback. I also want to bring your attention to changes to the faculty and staff terms for all college council. As of last month, the council voted unanimously to extend faculty and staff terms from 1 to 2 years. The vote and the purpose of the term extensions was to create greater continuity for future projects and initiatives important to faculty, staff, and student representative groups. As the veteran for the AECC, I would like to thank Phil Burdick and Randy Wright for their current leadership, and support for this important change. Lastly, I'd like to please keep in your hearts all those affected by the pandemic and all those whose families are impacted by the Ukrainian and Russian war. Thank you for your support of adjunct faculty. Have a great Easter Sunday and Ramadan. This ends my report.
Thank you so much, Sean. Adjuncts are really lucky to have you speaking as a former adjunct. You're doing a great job. Thank you. And I'm really glad you're all taking advantage of the professional development. Really, really important. Thank you. Our next report comes from the staff, Erica Elias.
Good evening, Chairperson Ripley, members of the board, Chancellor, and guests. I apologize for my voice. I've been ill for the last week. So I'm going to keep my report a little bit short so I don't lose my voice. I wanted to highlight that on April 26th, Student Affairs will be hosting the Pima Community College Knowledge for Partners in Education. This is going to be a virtual event that will run from 8:15 a.m. in the morning until 11:30 a.m. And there will be different presentations for dual enrollment, FAFSA, EDR, student resources, TRIO, the IRSRC, and we partner with different K through 12 partners that we have, and even like partners from U of A, ASU, GCU, et cetera. And right now we have 77 people that have already registered for this event. So we're really happy to be hosting it. This will conclude my report. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. That was really important to hear. Thank you. Next is faculty report. Denise Riley.
Hello, and thank you for allowing me to speak. Chancellor Lambert, Chair Ripley, members of the board, colleagues, and guests. So I would like to start with, I know we don't really have a lot of time to talk about the class and comp, and we don't have any details of that yet, as well as the HLC and the outcomes. So those are things that we'd like to talk about in the future. But this has been a busy semester, and I really appreciate and acknowledge that Chair Ripley, you mentioned kind of the global things going on at the college. So thank you. I want to focus this report on communication. And the reason is that I think that as Faculty Senate officers, we are focused on open, honest, transparent communication and follow through. And I wanted to share with you a little bit about what the Faculty Senate officers are doing to make sure that that happens. So as Faculty Senate officers, we started in the fall by having study sessions. We modeled it after you folks in the on the board who have study sessions that about once a month where colleagues get a chance to get together and express their thoughts, opinions, and shared expertise on some topics that are of interest that we don't really have enough time for in a 2-hour meeting once a month, where oftentimes most of our meetings are the time is taken by presentations. And so we've had topics such as Pima Online, the Teaching and Learning Center, and we have an upcoming topic of the AJEC and Transfer Reimagine. And so some other things that Faculty Senate officers are doing is that we are benchmarking other institutions, other community colleges to see how their Faculty Senate governing boards work and how their institutions and different governing forces work together at the community college. 2 of us in Faculty Senate officer positions attended the HLC conference. Yes, it was very good to see Luis and Maria. I saw you as much as you wanted to be incognito out on the town of Chicago. I did spot you and say hello, so I missed Chair Ripley on that one. We have attended your study sessions. We have gone to the town hall, and if not, one hall. We've instituted social events, which are encouraging fellowship. And one really positive thing is that when we meet once a month with executive leadership at the college, we noticed that our 1-hour time frame once a month was just not enough. We never got through the agenda items. We didn't even get through 2/3 of the agenda items. So we've decided to extend that to 1.5 hours, and graciously executive leadership has agreed with that. And so that's been a positive. We've invited administrators to our classrooms. I've had the opportunity to have Dr. Dore and Dr. Duran Cerda, both in my class this semester in student success, just to have the privilege of them having coming and visiting and seeing what a student success course is like. So we've been pretty action oriented. So these are the things that we've been doing to try to elicit communication. As I've heard over and over, we want to talk about shared governance. We want to talk about communication and that being a 2-way street. So the second thing that goes along with strengthening communication between governance and work groups. Currently, we don't have a repository for all the 240 plus full-time faculty that we have at the college that each belong to at least one committee, commit to faculty advising hours. And in this goal of being open, transparent, and honest, where is all this hard work going? Where is all of this housed? We call things different. We call these groups work groups. We call them committees. We call them just all these different names. But where is all this hard work? Where can we showcase the committees and the outcomes? As faculty, we have student learning outcomes. We have course learning outcomes, but where does all this information go? So I would like to really request your support in a repository. And I can tell you that I've had many faculty colleagues in the past who have worked super hard, numerous hours, work together on these committees and form some plan, and there is no fruition to the plan. So what happens is these work groups get together and they form a committee and they get together and they make strides for the future, but then there is no implementation. And so we want to work on changing that. We want to showcase the work of these committees. We want to showcase the visibility, but there is no repository. So on our website, we do have the governing board. We do have the faculty senate. We do have the AERC members, but that's about it. But if you think about it, over 240 full-time faculty all belong to at least one committee. And I can tell you I belong to about 6 right now. So if we belong to at least one committee, I would like that open communication to allow me to find out what has faculty already done in these different committees to move the college forward. We don't want to go backwards and we don't want to reinvent the wheel. But until we have this repository, and I can tell you that, you know, if we're going to be a premier institution and we're going to talk about moving forward, we need to have this space where everyone can share what has been done already so that we don't reinvent the wheel. And so I just wanted to share that every semester, each faculty member completes a load sheet. So we complete a sheet that says every class we're teaching, every modality that we're teaching in, every committee that we belong to. So why not just take and culminate that information and put it together rather than saying it's really difficult to compile all this information. If we want to be a premier institution, we need to walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
Denise, thank you so much. You have about 15 seconds left.
Great. So my highlight was really communication. We want open, transparent, and honest communication, and it's a two-way street. And so in that, we would like to see some changes moving forward in support of this communication. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This gives us a great opportunity as we stand up our newest committee. And so I want to kind of take this to the Chancellor to give the board some feedback on this. And I think I agree, communications is the #1 most important thing in the world. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to follow up, Chancellor Lambert, I mean, I think understanding how we can better utilize the data collection through maybe our Office of Institutional Research, which I imagine is doing a lot of this work also, and better integrate, so you hopefully can report back.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. I think that is it. We don't have anyone assigned. Yeah, thank you, Denise. I appreciate it. We don't have anyone assigned to administrator report. Is there any? If not, I turn it over to the next agenda item moving along is the Chancellor's report.
Well, good evening, everybody, and I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you, our faculty, our staff, our administration. The great work you're doing to support the success of our students really speaks volumes, and I get to see that each and every day, and so I just want to say thank you. And I thought I'd share just some pieces that I had an opportunity to learn over the last few weeks. So I was at the HLC, and we talked credentials. And so just for folks, for edification purposes, think of the credentials as the umbrella. And under the credentials, you have degrees, you have certificates, you have licensing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are almost 1 million unique credentials in the United States. Guess how many providers are out there in the marketplace for those credentials? Well, if you think about accredited colleges and universities, there's probably somewhere around 4,000 to 5,000 of us. There's over 55,000 players in our market space. So we need to keep that in mind. It's a growing, crowded marketplace with lots of competition, and it's no longer about degrees. It's all of those things I just mentioned. So the focus will really be on skills. So let me go to that point next. So you heard Arthur Levine speak at the HLC conference. I had the pleasure of listening to Dr. Levine speak, and he co-authored a book called The Great Upheaval, and you'll hear me say a little more about this on Monday. But I think that the main thing I want to emphasize is in our session, with Dr. Levine. He was asked the question, what do you think about vocational education versus liberal arts education? And he said, liberal arts education is vocational education. Let me repeat that. Liberal arts education is vocational education. That its roots and its origins began with vocational education. And I think that's important not to lose sight of, because when you get down to it, it's about the skills. Are our learners walking away with the skills they need to be successful in life, whether it's in their careers, whether it's just in life in general? It's about the skills, and we need to make sure we stay focused on that. And so I know our provost will be emphasizing this, and these are the skills, essential learning outcomes, that really we should be looking at it from an institution-wide perspective, not just from an academic perspective, but an institution-wide perspective. So you're going to hear more about that as we go forward. I had an opportunity to attend ASU GSV, and this is also part of the future that Dr. Levine talks about. Immersive learning is growing in significance. And I'm sure many of you have heard the announcement from the University of Arizona's history department. They are going to be bringing more into the gamification realm. I and the provost will, on Friday, be going up and by invitation of the University of Arizona College of Medicine to see this great thing they're trying to create, a XR center. If you're not familiar with that, extended reality, augmented reality, virtual reality, it's here, folks. We got to make sure we keep pace with the changing realities around immersive learning, around project-based learning. And so I'm going to ask the provost to set her goals for the upcoming year to really see how we can start to integrate more of these 21st century digital pieces into our curriculum. Also, I just want to congratulate Don Martin and Brian Stewart, who successfully defended their dissertations. Congratulations to both of you, doctors, Don Martin and Brian Stewart. Also, I just want to recognize our fine students. Thank you for sharing your stories. It's so much appreciated, and we're just so proud that we can provide the platform for you to really meet your hopes and dreams. I also want to say to you, Colin, this is the first I'm hearing about the murals, and I asked President of Campuses, David Doré, about the murals. This is the first he's hearing of it. As we talk about communication, I highly encourage that we make sure that the upper administration is aware of these kinds of concerns, because I know if David knew about this, he would address it immediately. So please, please never hesitate to bring things to us, because we take them seriously. On that note, from day one that I've been at this college, I have taken issues of discrimination seriously. I have built my career on taking issues of discrimination seriously, and I will continue to take issues of discrimination seriously. Yes, people deserve due process, but when we go through the due process and it comes out that someone has, in fact, violated the appropriate policies and procedures and laws, we will take appropriate action. I just want to make sure I send that message loud and clear. Also, we have some other exciting things happening for students. If you want to put in your pronouns, you will be able to do that now through our website. We have made it so much more easier to do. And please, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Phil Burdick to learn the process in which to do that. I'm sure Dr. Irene Robles Lopez's team can also help with that process. Also, we have added a translation piece to our website, and I believe it will translate into, I believe you said, Phil, 12 languages. So that's another big positive change. Also, just want to highlight some really just outstanding things about the college. Folks probably not aware of this. So Lumina, a major funder of higher education and community colleges, they chose 3 colleges in which to take a look at and create a framework for centers of excellence. Your Pima Community College is one of those 3. It's amazing that we were selected. Rutgers University just did a report on colleges who are reshaping the landscape of higher education. Pima Community College is one of those colleges featured in that report. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And I have one big surprise I'm not going to announce yet because they have not given me permission to publicly announce. Some of you already know that piece, but we will be announcing that we are one of 5 community colleges selected by a top flight university as leaders in innovation. So you'll hear more. Stay tuned. None of this would be possible without our faculty, our staff, and our administration working together. And I want us not to lose sight of that. There's more good going on at Pima than not. It's easy to always think about what we're not doing. We can always improve communication. We can always pay folks better. So a lot of things but never lose sight of what we are doing. We are leading the way, and I'm so proud of that. Let me just close by saying happy Passover, happy Easter, and happy Ramadan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chancellor. And yes, indeed, that website, or our website did just launch the page on personal pronouns, and I really encourage everyone to read that. Not just those that are seeking to change their pronouns, but all of us need to read that page and read more and understand what it means and how important it is to every student. So thank you shout out to Phil Burdick for making that happen. Next we have agenda item on information items. So the information items can be found in your packets and on the website. So with that, if there aren't any discussions or questions, we'll go on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda was also provided to board members. So do I hear a motion from the board to approve these?
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
And I will leave this to discussion.
Microphone.
I would like to see a list of those items on the consent agenda before I vote.
They were the minutes. We can try to put them up for you. Minutes from the study session, February 21st, the minutes from March 9th, executive open meeting, the minutes from March 9th, regular meeting, the minutes from March 21st, special meeting, and the March 29th special meeting. Those were the first 5. And then there's a list of MOUs, intergovernmental agreements, and things that we had in our packet. Would you like to see those? Andrea, can you put those up?
So,
there they.
So Jeff, do you want to just read what they are?
We can also read them.
Jeff usually would read.
I think if we wait a minute, we may be able to address this.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we, board members are, understand where they are. And so now with the motion and the second, a little bit of a discussion, and I'd like to take a vote. Will you take a vote, Mr. Sylvan?
You're asking me to take, we don't need to do a roll
Well,
call, but I can.
all those in
Yeah, we
favor
can.
of
I'm
approving the
happy to do it if you
consent
want.
agenda, please signify by saying aye.
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 It was unanimous, so the consent agenda approval passes. Thank you so much, board members. Next on the agenda are the action items. We have 2, possibly just one, but the first one, I would like to ask Mr. Sylvan to read the first action item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And yeah, just to clarify, we're not going to need the second action item tonight. So the action item before the board this evening has the following recommendation. The Chancellor recommends the Governing Board authorize the Chancellor or designee to execute an agreement with the successful proposer of the request for proposals for management of campus bookstore retail services. The Chancellor shall report the results of the selection process to the Governing Board.
Thank you. And Chancellor, would you like to?
So I would make
so-
a motion to adopt the recommendation.
Okay, there's a
Second.
motion on the floor to adopt the recommendation and a second from Dr. Hay. Now discussion, please.
So, Madam
Chancellor?
Chair, yes, thank you. I'll do a broad piece on this, and then I'm going to ask Dr. David B. to kind of take us through the particulars. So just so you're all aware, especially for commuter campuses, bookstores, food service operations really struggle. And this is just an ongoing struggle at essentially every college I've worked at. And so we've been looking at ways to make this work for our students. So I think what you'll hear is we're trying to get closer to coming up with a better model for the college. And so with that, Dave, can you take it away?
Good evening, Chairperson Ripley, members of the board, Chancellor Lambert, colleagues and guests. As Chancellor Lambert mentioned, in front of you tonight is an action item to get authorization to execute a contract for campus store retail services. As Chancellor Lambert just mentioned, the landscape for bookstores in particular has changed dramatically over the last 15 years, with a couple of major national trends having an effect. One of them is the development and increased utilization of online book retail. So Amazon and other online bookstores provide an easy vehicle for students to purchase their books. Second effect that has had a big impact on how campus stores work over the years is the change in materials. So it used to be textbooks, and now it's switched to digital access, to digital technology, and then also similarly, as you know, the college has a priority toward implementing as much open educational resources as possible. All of those things are intended to, some of those are intended to cut down the cost for students, but textbooks have been growing in cost dramatically over the years. So there's this increased cost pressure, and then students have alternatives for going elsewhere to attain their books, and that's had a big impact on the brick and mortar type stores of the past. In addition to that, we've had a couple of local trends that have had a big impact on how our bookstore contracts work. Enrollment shifts, both the decline in enrollment from our peak in 2011, and then the shifts that have happened, and this is, again, commonplace throughout the country, the shifts from on-site enrollment to online enrollment has a dual factor. One is that students aren't on campus first to purchase books as much, or to go to the bookstore to buy supplies or whatever. Similarly, more impactful on food service actually with that one. And then the other impact is the overall decline that has happened. So you have fewer students who are on site, and all of those result in declines in sales. And it makes running food service or bookstore operations increasingly difficult. We've talked about this throughout the last number of years, and we've made, particularly also in light of the impacts of COVID and the pandemic, where we actually had to physically close down the locations, and we had to alter and amend the agreement that we had with our previous vendors. So as a result of that, and trying to provide the best quality and capability and flexibility and innovative services possible, we actually in the fall put together 2 work groups to review what the trends are, what the realities are in terms of food and bookstore operations, and make recommendations for what they would like to see, what the groups would like to see coming forward in the future. And we took the information from those groups and used it to inform the RFP process that is essentially now culminating in front of you tonight. So we put recommendations in centering around really providing the best quality service available, but focusing, I think, primarily on keeping and containing costs to students as to improve the cost impact on students as much as possible. We hired a consultant to help draft the RFP. and then went out on the street to what is a relatively limited market of companies that are capable of providing the kinds of services that we're requiring. A group of people who were involved in the processes in the fall served on the RFP committee, and the recommendation, the top vendor through that process is Barnes & Noble. So this is a big change for the institution. We've been with Follett for, I think, at least 20 years now. And so the recommendation is to negotiate with the top vendor at this point, Barnes & Noble. The terms of the agreement are largely spelled out by the RFP and the proposal. They are an improvement over what our current situation is with our bookstore vendor, particularly in the COVID amendment situation, and has a lot of better contract terms and conditions in it that will help the college and help our students in terms of containing costs. It also has a lot more clarity in terms of college control over costs, how costs come together, and prioritizing the types of text and being flexible about digital text delivery, things like that. We also expect that at this point, we identified that if we were to include full, robust, sort of hot food delivery, if you will, that we likely would not get a vendor who was capable or interested in providing both those services. So at this point, what we're looking to do is put this contract in place for the retail stores, which should have improved convenience store options at the locations, improved and enhanced vending options. And what we want to do going forward is we had a consultant help us also with the conversation around food service, which is actually a more complicated and difficult proposition, even in bookstores, believe it or not. But there are some really innovative ideas that we have that might involve our culinary program, might involve local restaurants. But what we want to do is take a work group, have the exploration of those different concepts, and take those into the fall and really develop what our sort of hot food opportunities or what we might be able to do in terms of that kind of food delivery. But in the meantime, we're confident that this new contract will enhance the service delivery to our students, control and contain costs better, and really provide a more innovative platform for us to grow on as the world changes with text and educational materials going into the future. So with that, I'll pause and ask if there are any questions of me related to this item.
Dr. B, so my question is, you've told us all about improving and the RFP process and the best vendor, whatever, but you didn't explain the process that they're going to use. For example, and this is just me and you don't have to accept it, but anyway, if we have it at a bookstore and you got the best vendor for the best price on the books or whatever it is that they're going to offer, are we going to maintain bookstores on every single campus? Are we going to have a mobile system? Are we going to have a pre-ordering? You didn't give us any specifics. Same thing with the food service. What exactly are we proposing?
Yeah, so the way that the proposal is put together is that there will be full bookstore and convenience offerings at 4 of the campuses. The one that will not have the full service array of services right now is Northwest Campus, which will have a pared down version. So, and that has to do with the foot traffic that goes through there and how viable it is to have that kind of an opportunity up there. But that doesn't mean that we won't provide good service to that campus. It means that it will have more of a pop-up service when at the beginning of the term so that students can get things. And there's going to be a greatly enhanced online delivery capability through this vendor, and focusing on that capability as well. This will be a big improvement over what we currently have, but we can't solve all the world's problems in one shot.
Any other discussion or questions? Yes, Board Member Gonzalez.
Quick question, Mr. B. The contract is, what is it for, 4 years or 5 years?
I believe it's 5 years. I actually don't have that in front of me. I believe it's it's 5 years.
At
It has
200,000,
guaranteed
correct?
commissions from a guaranteed commission structure, minimum guaranteed commission structure for years 2 through 5.
As mentioned before, you mentioned a couple of things in reference to the enhance of the services and also the array of services as well too. Is the contract, is that going to be evaluated every year or every 2 years or whatever?
Yeah, and in fact, one of the enhancements to this contract structure is the college has a better termination clause than what currently exists in the Follett contract. But what we do is we evaluate it every year, and there are out clauses in terms of you have a certain number of days that if it's not working for you, if the contract isn't working for you, then you give notice and then you work your way through it. Now, it's a complicated proposition, and why it's really important to go forward at this time frame, because switching vendors is not an easy proposition. They are already adopting textbooks for future terms. You've got to have the two vendors work together to transfer the inventory between them and make it as seamless as possible. And I'm confident we'll be able to do that, but it is not an easy thing to do to switch bookstore vendors. One last question. I know that we did a tour at Desert Vista in reference to what was proposed. What is the status update on that? And also, I know that they have a culinary program there. How is it that, how will that be incorporated with this new project, I guess? Yeah, Desert Vista is sort of our unique campus in that the way that we have incorporated the culinary program in the past is that the culinary program has provided food opportunities or food options for students at a relatively affordable rate. And it's really a benefit actually in that if you are able to eat there, it's a better food service delivery than often is at the other campuses. What we're looking to do is continue to have the culinary opportunities available at Desert Vista. There will be a bookstore at Desert Vista. As I said, the 4 campuses other than Northwest will have full bookstores on site. One last question. Sorry about that. After the tour, they told us it was going to be active. Is it currently active right now? The new program that they started there, the new. No, not the culinary, where they were going to make the snack bar or whatever. The food service? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the question is exactly.
Can you expound? Yeah.
I'm just curious, is the item you're talking about, is it connected to the bookstore in some way, or are you talking about a separate program?
Isn't this part of the bookstore or the reference to providing goods and services for the students?
Yeah, I'll expand. I think I'm following. So in terms of the food service that's available to students right now, it's very limited in terms of sort of grab and go convenience items that are through the bookstore, other than what's available through the culinary program, which I think also is sort of shut down. COVID has had a really big impact on what we can do in terms of food service delivery. So it's sort of been pared down. And also related to how many students are actually on site has had an effect in terms of what's available. What we're looking to do is with the new vendor is, as we ramp back up, have really enhanced service delivery available through both vending and convenience items. And then next year talk a little bit more in detail and work with the working group, with students, faculty, et cetera, to really identify and see if it's viable to have a more robust food opportunity. And it could be food carts or, food trucks, could be smaller pop-up, coffee stands, those kinds of things. See what kinds of opportunities and ideas we might be able to make happen.
Dr. B, I'm sorry. Dr. B, so really what you're proposing is just an RFP for this vendor, right? For the vendors, not
Right.
It is a
This
contract?
is a proposal to execute a contract. We have to continue the last stage is a negotiation, which really is going to be fine tuning things like indemnification clauses, things like that. The major terms of the agreement are spelled out in the RFP. So it's just going to be executing the agreement with Barnes & Noble. If not Barnes & Noble, then we would go to the next highest vendor in the RFP process. But right now we're talking about working with Barnes & Noble to come to fruition on that, and then make that contract come together.
Just one last question. What are the terms of terminating the contract? Just a quick one.
Like I said, what will be in there is that if there's always cause, in these contracts, there's always termination for cause, but there's usually a remedy period. So you say, okay, you're not doing X, remedy it within a certain number of days. Other than that, there's termination for convenience where it says this just isn't working usually, and I don't remember, but it's probably in the neighborhood of 120 days. It usually takes 120 days to successfully switch vendors in something this complicated.
I think my main concern is the fact that, I'm not opposed to this. It's just that if enrollment continues to decline, and I assume that the amount of food service or books that are going to be provided are going to be based on enrollment. So, if you have a contract, is there any clause in there that, you can change it because there was a decline or something? That's all I'm asking.
Oh yeah, no, that's a really good question. So we're contracting for bookstore services. One of the things is when they buy the books for the next year, the stores own that inventory. The college doesn't. Like that's all on the bookstore's end. So what they want to do is they want to do a good projection, and they talk to we interact with them. The college interacts with these bookstore providers. And gives them estimates of what our enrollment's going to do. They have their own ways to calculate what their enrollment's going to be. And then they purchase textbooks based on those calculations. If they're off, what they do is they return the materials to the publishers, that sort of thing. But that's not on the college at all. The exposure there is not on the college. It's on the bookstore side.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Any comments, discussion? Okay, great. So thank you for this foresight because it's important, and I know that everybody loves to have their dunk at the campuses. I know I do. But I guess it comes under the title of prepare for the worst, hope for the best. So this is what we're all trying to do as a board, and thank you for doing that. So with that, we would like to now take a vote on approval. All those in favor of approving this action item, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. So with that, the next item on the agenda is request for future agenda items. The governing board has conducted a series of study sessions to review and discuss possible revisions to our bylaws. The governing board anticipates that it will consider and act on proposed amendments to the bylaws at the next regular board meeting, currently scheduled for May 11th, 2022. Okay, any other discussion on future items? Okay.
I would like to, my recommendation is that we postpone that till June.
No, I think you just take it into consideration.
Okay,
Right.
Thank you for that, Board Member Garcia. So we will take that into consideration. Next on the agenda is announcements, and I think I already stated this. The next regular meeting of the governing board will be held on May 11th, 2022. Executive session will begin at 4 p.m. and open session at 5:30 p.m. via video conference. And with that, thank you, everyone. I think one of the messages that we got tonight was the whole, someone mentioned the word trickle up, or maybe it was me. So I think we've, as a community college, we've realized that everything that happens here has to trickle up. We don't depend on state funding anymore until that happens. So funding has to trickle up. We do that by donations, by the Pima Foundation and all the work that they do. We figure that out. Communications, we had a great talk by our faculty rep. Communications needs to trickle up. It needs to start with us. And with that, I just want to remind everyone that we are all ambassadors for the school, and we indeed need to trickle up and trickle sideways. Thank you so much. We've completed all items on the agenda. Is there any further business? Hearing none, is there any objection to adjourn?
Nope.
Hearing none, we are adjourned.